Good evening. Thank you for having us. We're here to give a quick presentation on what the QRS program is going to be. We've been in the process of planning this program for over a year, and we're excited to offer another service to the residents and people that work in this community. Simply, what is a QRS? QRS is a non-transport emergency medical service, whereas an ambulance treats and transports patients. This service simply goes out, treats the patients, and then turns them over to the ambulance service. The service is designed to reduce the time between a 911 call and when help first arrives. It's not that we see an issue with that in this township. We just feel that the need is we are there, so we can go out and help on these critical calls. QRS response is going to start with only priority 1 calls, which are the most critical calls. I'll hit on that a little bit further in the next slide. Like I said before, it does not transport patients. We're just there to bridge the gap and start treatment earlier than the ambulance. What is our plan?
You can have a seat right at the table.
Thank you. The initial rollout of the QRS will begin with the career staff only, just to get the program started and understand the flaws and where we need to figure things out. I'll start weekdays from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's when the career staff is on. Once the program is established and the flaws have been worked out, it will be rolled out to the entire department, so it will be provided 24/7. Initially, both of our squad trucks, there's fire trucks, will be certified as QRS vehicles. You can certify support vehicles such as pickup trucks and SUVs, and that may be considered in the future. At the beginning of the program, we'd like to start with just the squads. The QRS, like I mentioned, will only be dispatched to priority 1 calls within Montgomery Township. Priority 1 calls they're laid out in the maps that you have. They're the most critical calls that happen. And with the QRS, we also have the potential to respond to any call, not only priority 1 calls, if the officer or the senior member determines that a earlier intervention will assist in patient care. So anytime we feel necessary that we can make a difference in better care in the township, we'll go ahead and do that. And then the current status, like I said, this process started over a year ago with the personnel completing EMT. So several of our members gained that recently and are now certified. The applications, in order to get certified as an EMS provider in the state, you have to submit applications to both the county and the state EMS office. Those have both been submitted. We're approved through the county. We're waiting for the state to give us final approval. Once they have that, then the county comes out and inspects the vehicles and gives the final stamp of approval to start. In order to get these applications approved, we had to write several policies that we have been developed specifically for the QRS with the service in mind. The equipment has been ordered for the QRS. We have to put some additional equipment on the squad fire trucks so that we can provide medical care. And the department has worked closely with the Montgomery Township Ambulance Provider, VMSC. We want to make sure that from the beginning that this is the best service possible, that we are assisting them and in no way hindering them. And then finally, the department has entered into an agreement with Einstein Practice, Dr. Ryan Overberger here, for medical direction. Every EMS agency is required to have medical direction, where if we have questions we need to ask, or we're on call and we have a tough question, and they can even support us with continuing education and education in general. So I'll turn it over to Ryan if he has anything to say.
Yeah, thanks for everyone's time. I think just to sort of put it in English, what is a quick response service? It's the idea of formalizing the relationship that EMS and fire agencies have, where doing sort of mutual response. So high security calls, choking, unconscious, cardiac arrest, things that seconds matter, minutes matter type emergencies. If an ambulance is 5 minutes away and the fire department is 2 minutes away, those 3 minutes can be a big difference to that parent, to that patient, in terms of someone's here, someone knows this, what to do, and gets to the patient's side. It formalizes that. It puts us into the, not just into the fire side of the system, but into the EMS side. Training, education, the response, those collaborative relationships. I'm an emergency room doctor in the Einstein Jefferson system, the medical director for BMSC already, sort of a natural partnership with, any QRS is going to work really closely with the EMS agencies in that area. So it seemed like a natural partnership for us to take this on with Montgomery Township as well. In terms of providing those interactions, we have opportunities for joint training to get our members acquainted and just really turn this into sort of a best practice model out there. Places like Seattle and even sort of when we look at Wake County, North Carolina, we look at EMS systems that do the best medical care in the country are doing this. They're sending all of those resources to the right calls and partnering fire, EMS, police in bringing that response to give patients the best outcome. So I think it's a great opportunity for the township to really bolster the response and improve the care that we deliver to patients. I'm happy to take any questions as well.
There's no chance that the ambulance won't come? There won't be confusion that QRS went, the ambulance? I mean, what's in place to make sure that doesn't happen?
It's a great question. So the way that the county dispatch system works is one sort of what they call box cards and things. Without getting into the details, they always will send the right EMS asset, and then on certain types of calls where a QRS would be dispatchable, if there is one in that system, they build it out to add that on. Certainly, if anyone has can explain that better than I can, but there's no chance that an ambulance doesn't come. The
Okay.
QRS is a different type of asset in the CAD system, so they would never only send the QRS to a call. It would be, but let's say that we have an incident in the township where maybe both ambulances are took trauma patients to Abington from an accident, and everybody's out of the township coming back. Now maybe the QRS can get there in 5 minutes and wait for an ambulance coming from 2 townships over, and that may be 10 or 15 minutes that they could be at a patient's side, sort of providing care in advance of that. So there's lots of opportunities to grow this on the dispatch side of like what other kind of calls. When there's a lot of places in more rural parts of Pennsylvania will add their QRS to a dispatch when the ambulance time of arrival is more than X number of minutes as a way. So it might be a minor call, but if the ambulance is too far away, then they might add the QRS just to get someone there and be able to start doing some patient assessment and patient care. So there's a lot of future growth opportunities. I think what we're proposing right now is what a lot of fire departments that do this in Montgomery County do, which is start with the highest priority. I'm also the medical director for Cheltenham Township's fire department QRS, and which does a very similar model to this and works really well in that community.
Can you describe some of the equipment that's going to be added to the squads?
Sure. We placed an order for all the equipment necessary. Some of the equipment is a suction device for managing airways, some BLS style airways, basic life support airways. We also ordered things like oxygen. We have oxygen now, so we provide oxygen. I think some of the other things we already carried some basic medical equipment. We're just going the further step to get certified, so that way we can then provide this service with the proper certifications.
So you would have AEDs already, probably.
Correct. All of our fire apparatus.
Right. Which is always a concern. We keep hearing on the news about people and it's a matter of, it's so critical to get there early, especially with sporting events and whatever else, but also with drownings and things like that. Every second counts. So this is wonderful.
Some of this stuff, is things that we were already doing, right? Already had some of this equipment. What this does is the state now gives us the list and says, this is what you must have. It brings someone out to check it to make sure that, sort of to hold us accountable, to make sure that we, the stuff is, in date. And, it gives us sort of that additional layer of oversight and accountability that is, helpful in just sort of making sure that we stay at the level we want to be at.
And then you have a connection with the hospital. So they can give additional training and
additional ability to part of the EMS system. If there was a need to call, so folks can call me directly, folks can call any of the medical and hospitals in the region, as sort of formalizes that relationship. The fire department becomes part of the EMS system when they're working as a QRS instead of sort of a separate entity.
How is this different from what would be called a paramedic?
So it's The levels of EMS care there's what's called basic life support. That's an ambulance. Typically, an ambulance staff with 2 EMTs. EMT has about 120 hours, 140 hours plus practical training of background managing the basics of every emergency, and that would be the level of care we provide. So a BLS ambulance provides basic life support care and then transport to the hospital. Our quick response service will provide basic life support care, but not transport to the
It's
hospital.
everything but the transport.
A paramedic is what's called advanced life support. They have 1,000 hours of training,
Okay.
drug, medications, advanced interventions, procedures, things like that. It's a much more sort of higher level of care in terms of what they can do. But the important thing to know is that what's in that BLS scope is actually what saves people's lives. Defibrillation, like you mentioned, managing airways, treating a bee sting with antidotes, right? All of those truly life-threatening emergencies, the fire department QRS would have the capability of intervening on many of those emergencies.
How does this impact our budget in any way? Like, how does this all kind of roll around in our budget then? Is that a new line item for us? And all those kinds of questions are rolling through my head.
It is a line item. We did budget money in this year's budget for our QRS. We budgeted $8,000. $1,800 went to Einstein for medical direction, and then the rest is really going into equipment. Last year, the township invested about $10,000 with Jefferson to have the career staff and volunteers who were able to take it complete the EMT class through Jefferson. That was a daytime endeavor. We're already doing this. The career staff, we have a really great career staff, and Jake has done a phenomenal job with QRS and the EMS part of, a lot of firefighters get really nervous and upset when you say EMS. So Jake, he's done a phenomenal job making this work for us. The people we have in place now are already jumping these types of calls. They're not the type to sit around when a priority one call comes in and say, "Oh, I wonder what that's about." They're in the truck and they're going. So we felt that it was better, since we're already doing it, to have credibility and credentialing. And if anybody, God forbid, makes a mistake, we have been certified. So we were kind of operating under Good Samaritan, but now we'll have somebody checking our policies, will be accredited. Ryan has been fantastic working with us. He's got a lot of great plans. He's been with us from the beginning, and we've really integrated well with VMSC. We went to them and said, "Hey, we want to start QRS, and we want to do it the way that you want us to do it, so that there's no issue with transfer of care, even providing information. The expectations are there. The joint training is there." So I think at the Boogie Down the Parkway, the person who kind of certifies QRS said, "Boy, you guys are the longest company it's taken to get a QRS up and running." And I kind of took that as a compliment, because I think that Jake has done such a great methodical job with making sure when this rolls out that it's done properly, that it's going to be a good thing. And like Jake said, we're going to start with the career staff and work out all the kinks, and then hopefully let it come over to the volunteers. And that might even attract more volunteers who don't necessarily want to be firefighters, but they want to be nurses or they want to be doctors. So they just come up. I think North Wales and Upper Gwinnett have their QRS team are not firefighters. They're just volunteers who want to run on the QRS. So this is we should have been doing this 20 years ago. I think it's good that we're doing it now. And the calls that we're going to be running, it's always up to the officer's discretion, and we'll always come when they ask for help. But Montgomery Township doesn't have a lot of these priority one calls. So it's not really going to impact what we do day to day with inspections and pre-planning and community relation events. I don't think we'll see an impact with a reduction in our other community risk reduction activities. But
Chief, the incident recently at the community recreation center, where there was a cardiac incident, right, with someone who was playing, was that pickleball, I think?
yes.
Yeah. So would that have been the ideal, like, priority one situation?
Yeah, I mean, our guys did I'm super proud of them. I wasn't around. I think it was with the boss. We were up at Pelraz, but the guys heard the call come in for the unconscious. So it wasn't even a call that they would have been dispatched on. But anytime, any type of dispatch to the rec center or the township building, they know to go. So I think Angelina did a great job with notifying 911 and starting the assessment. And Andrew Backlund and Pete Burns got there like right away. And they were able to get Pete started CPR. Andrew was able to get an AED, and then Jake was there, and the guys jumped in and they saved this gentleman's life. He's actually doing really well. I got to speak to his family twice last week because we submitted the team for a life-saving award. So we're waiting to hear back from the American Red Cross. I mean, they saved that gentleman's life, hands down 100%. By their being there within 2 minutes of this person going into cardiac arrest, they saved his life. And the person's wife had passed away 2 weeks prior. So for the family, this was great. So
Thank you for all of that, Chief. You've taken this department to,
it's the guy. I got good staff. They
and,
make me look
and the
good.
VMSC has really pulled themselves together and it's really come along, and we're very happy with the VMSC as well. So thank you, and thank you for your work.
This is great. Saving lives already.
It's
All
cool.
right. Well, if everyone's good with it, I'm going to move to approve the department's participation in a QRS program and medical direction with Einstein Practice Plan Incorporated with Dr. Ryan Overberger, DO.
Second.
Any public comment? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for taking long and making sure it was perfectly done. I'm okay with that.